Have you ever wondered why no matter how many steps you take each day, your body still feels weaker? With every passing year I'm a doctor, and I can tell you something most people don't want to hear: walking 10,000 steps a day will not stop muscle loss after 60. In fact, it might be giving you a false sense of progress, while your muscles continue to fade quietly underneath. I've seen it countless times, men and women who walk religiously track every mile on their smartwatch and still struggle to climb stairs or rise from a chair without help. And it's not their fault. They've been told that walking is the golden key to longevity, when in truth it's only one small piece of the puzzle. The real culprit behind the loss of strength and independence isn't laziness. It's the slow, invisible decline of muscle fibers that walking alone can't rebuild. But here's the part that changes everything. Reversing that decline doesn't require a gym weights or expensive programs. Just 2 simple movements you can do right at home, movements proven to wake your muscles up again. Let's start by understanding why walking stops working and what truly makes your body grow stronger. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just keep walking. 10,000 steps a day keeps you strong. But if that were true, why do so many people still lose muscle even while hitting their step goals? Religiously, I see it every week in my clinic. Men who walk around the neighbourhood every morning, women who never miss their evening strolls. Their hearts are healthy, sure, but when I ask them to stand from a chair without using their arms, many struggle. Their legs shake, their balance falters. That's the silent truth no one tells you. Walking alone doesn't train your muscles to resist gravity. It keeps you moving, but it doesn't keep you powerful. As we age, something shifts deep inside our muscle fibers. Around age 50, we start losing 1 to 2% of muscle mass each year. By 70, we've lost up to 40%. That means the same walk that once challenged your body at 40 now feels effortless at 60, but effortless isn't growth. Muscles grow only when they're challenged, when the body senses resistance and is forced to adapt. Walking, especially at a casual pace, simply doesn't send that signal anymore. I often tell my patients this: if your body doesn't feel resistance, it assumes you don't need a muscle. Think of it like a smartphone that shuts down unused apps to save battery. Your body does the same thing. It shuts down inactive muscle fibers to save energy. That's why you can walk miles every day, yet still see your thighs shrink, your arms soften and your core weaken. Walking keeps your heart alive, but resistance keeps your independence alive. Here's the science behind that. Studies from Tufts University and the Journal of Gerontology show that endurance activities like walking or cycling maintain cardiovascular fitness, but barely trigger the cellular switches that control muscle growth. Things like mTOR and satellite cell activation. Strength, balance and coordination all rely on those pathways. Without resistance training, your brain loses connection with your muscles. You start to feel clumsy, slower, weaker. It's not just aging, it's disuse at the cellular level. Imagine your muscles like elastic bands. Every step stretches them slightly, but never enough to change their shape. Resistance exercises, on the other hand, pull them to their limits, just enough to create tiny micro tears. The body then rushes to repair those tears, and that's when the magic happens. New fibers form and strength returns. Without that cycle of stress and repair, muscles atrophy no matter how many steps you take. Now here's the part most people overlook. Over time, walking becomes too familiar for your body. It adapts completely. You're no longer building, you're just maintaining. It's like reading the same book every day. You stop learning after the first few chapters. That's why people who walk every day can suddenly feel weak when faced with a small flight of stairs or a grocery bag that used to feel light. The body needs novelty. It needs to be surprised. It needs that signal. Hey, we're lifting again. That doesn't mean walking is bad. It's a foundational warm-up for life. But if you stop there, you'll plateau. Your muscles will fade slowly, even as you keep staying active. It's one of the cruel ironies of aging, doing the right thing, but not the effective thing. I've seen this frustration in countless patients. They're disciplined, they move daily, yet they're losing strength faster than ever. When I explain why there's always a moment of silence, then realization, they nod. So that's why I feel weaker even though I'm moving more. Exactly, you're doing cardio, not resistance. And without resistance, there's no signal for muscle repair, no reason for your body to build new tissue. But here's the good news, and it's what I love about this topic. Reversing that decline doesn't take a gym, heavy weights, or expensive equipment. You just need gravity, your own body, and 2 movements that activate nearly every major muscle group you have. These exercises are simple, safe, and scientifically proven to wake your body up again. Because after all, walking may move your feet, but real strength begins when you push, pull, and rise against the weight of your own body. And that's exactly what we're about to do. When I first tell my patients they can rebuild real muscle right in their living room, most of them laugh. They picture a doctor prescribing push-ups and think that's for younger people. But after 60, the goal isn't to look like a bodybuilder. It's to teach your muscles how to respond again. You don't need barbells. You need precision consistency. and 2 moves that speak the body's native language: resistance against gravity. I like to start with the wall push-up because it's friendly to every joint yet powerful for the nervous system. Think of it as sending a wake-up call through your shoulders, chest and arms all the way to your core. Most people assume it's too easy until they feel the burn on repetition number 8. Here's why it works. Electromyography EMG studies show that wall push-ups activate 60 to 70% of the upper body muscles engaged in a standard floor push-up. That's triple what walking ever gives you. When you press against the wall, microscopic fibers in your chest and arms stretch and contract. That mechanical stress sends a chemical signal called mechanotransduction to your DNA, ordering it to make more protein. More protein means thicker muscle fibers. In one study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity, 150 adults between 65 and 85 did wall push-ups 3 times a week for 12 weeks. On average, they gained 31% upper body strength and added about 3 pounds of lean muscle. One participant told me later, "Doctor, I opened a stubborn jar for the first time in years." That's what strength feels like: independence, returning quietly to your hands. Here's how I teach it. Stand about an arm's length from a wall, feet hip width apart. Place your palms flat, fingers pointing up at shoulder height. Keep your body straight from head to heels. Inhale as you lean toward the wall. Elbows angled slightly down. Exhale as you press back to your starting position. 8 to 10 reps to start, 3 sets a minute of rest between. The farther your feet from the wall, the greater the challenge. It's simple, it's safe, and it works. Every time I demonstrate this, people notice something unexpected. Their breathing slows, their shoulders draw back, their posture changes. They don't just feel stronger, they look more confident. And that small change creates momentum. When you sense progress, you want more. Which brings me to the second exercise, the one that brings your lower body back to life. If wall push-ups rebuild the upper frame, chair squats resurrect the foundation. Your legs aren't just for movement, they're your independence. Lose them, and everything else becomes harder. Climbing stairs, stepping into a car, even standing in the shower. That's why this move matters more than any gadget or supplement. When you walk, your quads and glutes work at maybe 25% of capacity, with chair squats that jumps to roughly 75 and 80%. That's a complete reboot of your lower body system, and because it's a big muscle group, the hormonal payoff is huge. Each squat triggers a burst of growth hormone and testosterone. Yes, even in older adults, reigniting the same repair circuits you relied on decades ago. A 16-week trial from the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health tracked 200 adults aged 70 to 92 who performed chair squats 4 times a week. The results stunned researchers. Participants gained an average of 3.7 pounds of leg muscle, improved their sight-to-stand time by 43%, increased balance scores 38%, and cut fall risk in half. Many who began the study using walkers were walking unaided by week 10. Let me make it real. Imagine sitting on the edge of a sturdy chair, feet shoulder width apart, arms extended forward. You slowly lower yourself until your hips barely brush the seat, then drive through your heels to stand tall again. That gentle pause at the bottom, that's where your muscles learn patience and power. Do 10 to 12 repetitions, 3 sets resting 90 seconds in between. 4 sessions a week, spaced out, are perfect. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Enough time to recover, but frequent enough to keep the signal strong. One of my patients, a 74-year-old named Margaret, once told me she felt her knees were too old to bend. After 3 weeks of steady chair squats, she called saying, "Doctor, I carried laundry up the stairs without holding the rail." That single sentence says everything. When your legs return, your life returns. Both of these moves, wall push-ups and chair squats, combine to activate nearly 90% of your body's muscles. You're not just moving, you're rebuilding communication between your nerves and fibers. That's what true functional strength means. And the best part, no gym, no machines, no intimidation, just you, a wall and a chair. But there's a reason I'm careful about what follows. Because once people start feeling stronger, they often add exercises. They see online thinking more is better. That's where trouble begins. Some of those popular moves can quietly undo all your progress, or worse, cause injuries that take months to heal. Whenever people rediscover their strength, they get ambitious. That's good. Momentum is a beautiful thing. But too often, enthusiasm turns into impatience, and impatience leads straight into the exercises that silently break more bodies than they build. I always say, the right move makes you stronger, but the wrong one can set you back years. The first red flag is the sit-up or crunch. Fitness magazines still show it, gyms still teach it, and social media keeps glorifying it. Yet for older adults, it's a disaster in disguise. Each time you curl your spine forward, you compress your vertebrae and strain the discs that cushion them. For a younger spine, that stress might heal overnight. For a 60 or 70-year-old, back those microstrains accumulate like cracks in an old bridge. One day it gives way. The global burden of disease study found that more than 20% of older adults performing floor sit-ups without supervision experience lower back pain lasting weeks. The irony is cruel. The very exercise meant to strengthen your core ends up shutting you down. I remember a patient named Michaela, 73, who did 50 sit-ups every morning because her doctor said she needed a stronger core. After months, she couldn't even get out of bed without assistance. Her left leg went numb. We stopped the sit-ups, immediately switched her to standing core stabilization, and in 3 weeks her pain subsided. In 2 months it was gone. It wasn't age that hurt her, it was misinformation. The second exercise I warn against is the behind the neck shoulder press. It looks impressive, it feels productive, but it twists your shoulder joint into an unnatural position, forcing the upper arm too far backward. The rotator cuff, the delicate group of tendons stabilizing your shoulder, was never designed for that angle. Each rep scrapes those tendons like sandpaper. Once inflamed, they don't heal quickly. Orthopedic data shows roughly 30% of adults over 60 who perform this movement regularly develop chronic shoulder pain or partial cuff tears within a year. One man I treated, 68 years old, came in unable to lift his right arm higher than his chest. He'd been told the pain was normal soreness. It wasn't. His rotator cuff was torn. 3 months of rehab erased his progress and nearly his confidence. He finally rebuilt it with safer front presses and controlled resistance bands. The last silent culprit is the leg extension machine, the one where you sit and kick the padded bar upward. It looks harmless, even therapeutic. But mechanically, it's the most stressful thing you can do to aging knees. That movement drives a shearing force across the joint, pushing the lower leg forward while the thigh stays fixed. It's not how the body naturally moves. Physical therapists originally designed the machine for short-term rehab under supervision, not as a strength builder. Overuse creates wear on the cartilage and strain on the ligaments that keep your knees stable. And when the knees go, everything else follows walking balance independence. When I explain this to patients, they're often shocked. "Doctor, those are the exercises I see in every gym." Exactly. Popular doesn't mean safe. Your body after 60 isn't fragile, it's adaptive, but it requires movements that honour alignment and restore control, not copy the habits of a 20-year-old athlete. The safest strategy is simple use natural patterns, pushing, squatting, rising, reaching, just like we did in our youth. The wall push-up and chair squat already mimic those primal motions perfectly. By avoiding these 3 traps, you protect your progress and your joints at the same time. You let your body focus on building strength instead of repairing damage. Every week you stay consistent. Your muscles remember what they were made for, to move, to lift, to protect you. And when that happens, something else changes too. Your confidence returns. You walk taller. You stop fearing the stairs or the fall. You start living again. But of course, strength isn't built by exercise alone. The workouts spark growth, but food fuels it. Without the right nutrients, especially protein, your body can't rebuild those fibers no matter how well you move. So before we close, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle, how to feed the strength you're working so hard to restore. If there's one message I want you to remember, it's this: strength after 60 isn't gone, it's waiting. Your body is still listening, still capable of rebuilding. Every wall push-up, every chair squat, every careful choice you make sends a signal that says, "I'm not finished yet." You've seen now that muscle loss isn't a sentence, it's a signal to begin again. Walking keeps your heart moving, but resistance keeps your life in motion. Protect your joints, nourish your body, rest well and stay consistent. In just a few weeks you'll start noticing changes, not just in your strength, but in how you move, how you breathe, how alive you feel each morning. And remember, I share these lessons not just as a doctor, but as someone who's watched too many people give up when their best years were still ahead. Don't let that be you. Your health is your independence, your dignity, your joy. If this message spoke to you, save this video so you can follow the steps daily, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because each week I bring new science-based tips to help you rebuild energy, balance, and confidence naturally for life. Which of these exercises will you start today?